Yeah. But man, I'm really interested in your story as the customer service revolutionizer. So thank you for taking a minute out today. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. It was good to meet you.
Yeah, great to meet you. So let's begin our journey with something I think we're all getting fatigued with talking about, but it was such a big moment, which is COVID. Surviving a pandemic, how did you get through that time period, and how did it ultimately change the way that you approach things now?
Well, do you know, it was really interesting. Prior to COVID, prior to lockdown, I had been in the world of freelance consulting for several years. Just before we went into lockdown, I got a permanent job. And so I was gainfully employed and paid, therefore, throughout all of COVID. So I was very, very fortunate. As a freelancer, of course, life would have dried up quite considerably. Although in the world of IT, which is where I've spent a lot of my time in technology organizations, generally they kind of kept going, but it would have been more difficult to kind of find new clients and such like. So almost to the day from when the UK went into lockdown and came back out, I had a permanent role in a German organization that was spreading its wings into the UK. So personally, I was very fortunate, right? What it did for all of us, though, of course, in the world of service, was really take us online. Let's face it, up until then, right, all the technologists will say, guys, well, all you need to do is jump online.
Mhm.
And the majority of the public would go, that's a bit geeky, really. I'm not sure I'm ready for that yet. But hey, within days, literally within days, we all became experts in it. And we realized that actually it was nothing to be fearful of.
Yeah,
We could use it fairly easily. The tools were relatively easy then, even better now. And so, up spawned a whole new world
yeah,
that we never really knew existed. But here it is.
yeah, for sure. So let's get to the heart and soul of what you do on a daily basis here in 2024.
Right,
I'm going to put
right.
you in front of a bunch of third graders at career day, and one of the kids is curious, says, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you answer them?
So I work with businesses and organizations to help them serve you, their customer, far better than they're doing today.
Okay. So let me ask you this. What did you want to be in the third grade? What was your dream?
My dream was an engineer, actually. I loved playing with wires and gizmos and putting it together and making it all work, getting the lights to come on. And I was a bit of a techno, to be honest. Usual stuff, kind of father wanted me to be a doctor and whatever else. But actually, I followed in his footsteps. He was an engineer, very, very good engineer. And I just went into the electronic side of engineering but I always knew that I would use it to buy my way into business. So the technology and the technical qualifications and learning was excellent and has stood me 35 years in industry very, very well. But I've never been the technical engineer. I've always usually employed them or worked with them, but I know how to get the best out of technology for the business outcome and for the customers. And that's what it's all about, in my view, even the world of AI. It's like,
Yeah.
don't keep talking to me about AI. Tell me what you're going to do with the AI,
Yeah.
right? How are you going to make everybody's lives better with the great AI that you're going to employ? That's great. Get me on that subject and we're away. But don't just say, I'm installing or implementing chatbots or agents or AI this and AI that just for the sake of it. I'm not interested in that.
So take me back to where you were born and raised. It seems very clear that you were following in your father's footsteps, the
Right.
engineering technology path, but the customer service seeds, how did those get planted into you to grow into this position to help people be better at their job?
To be fair, I guess that I fell into it in my first job, having done a little bit of the technology because I qualified in electronic engineering. And so I went into a little bit of research and development as it was 35 years ago or so. But very quickly realized I didn't want to stay there. I wanted to get into the mainstream of the organization. And there were plenty of opportunities to get into the world of customer service, usually on service desks, even at the time. We call them call centers and contact centers these days. They were the good old help desk or service desk at the time. And I fell into one of those and really enjoyed it. And I found I really loved working with the end client and the end customer, and also all my team and my colleagues, and pulling it all together and making it work for the customer. So for several years, I kind of stayed in that arena, and I was on call, etc. I remember plenty of conversations at 2 a.m. in the morning, 3 a.m. in the morning, Christmas night, Easter night, whatever it was, right? You were on call, that was you, and you were talking to the customer who wasn't usually very happy at the other end of the phone, and you just had to solve it. But I loved it. I loved it. And I just found a space that I excelled in.
So, who's been a hero? Who's been an inspiration for you in your life?
Wow, that's a good question. Richard Branson.
Yeah.
There's another guy over here called Julian Richer. He set up a company ages ago called Richer Sounds. The focus was all on the customer, everything about the customer. I have to say, people ask me often now, who would I hold up as the beacons within the world of service and customer service? And I have to say, Amazon have done an amazing job. Okay, they've gone from nothing, and Bezos and others have had the opportunity to build it, but talk about convenience, it's right there all the way through the customer life cycle. And that for me is what it's all about, because actually you start serving a customer when a prospective customer starts to engage with your website or get to know something about you. You don't even know this is going on. This is in the background, but you are serving that prospective customer. And too many organizations and business leaders forget this, and they think service is about after sale. Wow. If you think service is about after sale, you've missed it. You've missed the game.
Yeah. It's amazing. I think about all the viral clips that are out there of Jeff Bezos in the beginning when he had that very strange file sharing or revenue sharing system that he had set up. And in the end of it, he was the guy that had the chessboard and was thinking 3 to 4 to 5 moves ahead. And
Absolutely.
everybody else was laughing, but he had it all figured out.
Right. Absolutely. And to some degree, you'd say, I always say, look, service is intuitive. We're all experts in it. We really are. And we can quote good experiences and bad experiences, right? And we can say what we've done with them. Everybody knows that you tell your friends, your family when it's gone well, and actually when it's gone really badly. It's who we are.
Yeah.
So I keep rocking up and I keep trying to tell the business leaders, the technology folks, look, guys, I don't care. I don't care about your tech. I get everything runs on software and technology. I get that. And you do great jobs to put it all together. But don't sell me technology. I'm not interested in that.
Yeah.
Now, tell me how you're going to make my life easier, what outcomes you're going to deliver for me, and then I'm interested, right? So stay focused on that. We'll get back down to the technologies, but if you start from there, your focus is completely wrong. So my passion, as I hope you can hear, is really to get back to these guys and go, come on, we can do much, much better than we're doing today. Now, and when I started out in this game, whenever, we were talking about customer delight. That word has gone from the vocabulary within business. And you go, why? Why? That's exactly what it's about.
Yeah.
And we got diverted and distracted into customer experience and customer success and everything else. You go, oh, please look. Here's one thing that I say to everybody. You cannot deliver an experience for the customer. You cannot control that. The customer experiences your product or service in the way that they experience it. Two people can experience the same thing in a very, very different way,
Yeah.
simply because their worlds are different. One might be in a really good mood, the other might be in a really foul mood. One might have got out of bed with a really bad headache in the morning, or one might have just come out of a bad meeting. One might be going through some real family crisis, whatever it is, right? The same thing can be experienced emotionally in a very, very different way. So, I asked the question, why are you plowing not even millions, but billions into what you call customer experience management when you cannot control how the customer feels? Instead, focus on what you can control. And that, of course, is your product and your service. Service is the wrapper around everything. Even if it's a pen, the way I buy the pen is through the service called an online catalog or whatever it might be, right? So service is about the only thing closest to experience that you can control and deliver. So let's get back to some basics here and understand what you can control, what you can deliver, can get refocused around joining up your organization to deliver outstanding, frictionless, beautiful, delightful, engaging, amazing, fantastic service that leaves you and I going, wow, that was pretty cool.
So speaking of that experience that was pretty cool, the proof is in the pudding. You have to
Right.
come from a place of experience. What's been one of your best customer service experiences as a consumer?
Well, I would probably say, I have to say, actually, a couple of the Virgin Airlines flights that I've done to and from the States often, that the whole thing from end to end, whether it's check-in at the airport, whether it's baggage handling, whether it's the stewards and stewardesses on board, just their whole demeanor. When things have gone wrong, they've made it easy for me to get in touch with them again. If not, they've got in touch with me first.
Yeah,
And they've just taken away as much of the pains that I would have otherwise experienced. The airline industry is a tough one,
yeah,
and there's so many things that can go wrong.
yeah,
And we've all probably had the nightmare, right? The flights from hell. And hopefully we've had a few that have gone really well and the experience has been really great. So I'd say some of the flights have been one of them. Uh, but then quite simply, again, using some of the online experiences, and I'll take Amazon, to the point where something I literally last night I went online. It was 11:30 at night. I ordered it. I ordered four items. They're all being delivered today. I can track where they are. I also know I've had the experience where I've had to send items back. And, it's now as easy as taking it to the local store, getting them to scan the barcode. And that's it.
yeah,
That is it. It is as easy and effortless a customer journey that I've ever come across.
yeah. I totally agree. So what is it that gets you up out of bed every day to do the work that you do? You're giving a lot of yourself to help others get to a better place, but you have to evolve as a human yourself. What's that
Right.
collective energy every day?
So, you asked me this a little bit earlier, and one of the other things that runs alongside my business life is my spiritual life. So I have been blessed to grow in my spirituality over all my life, right? I was raised Christian, I was raised Catholic. I've kind of grown and moved in lots of different directions. I've learned from many good spiritual teachers, and it seems to me that much of my life journey and life learning and spiritual experiences, I can actually go, oh, that's an interesting one. I wonder what that means in the world of, if I say business, all I mean is you and I in groups of organizations serving each other. So the world of service and spirituality go hand in hand. I mean, they are flip side of the same coin, right? I mean, it's all the cliches that you want to talk about.
Yeah.
It's who we are inherently, who we are as individuals and human beings. We are born to love and serve each other. It just is how it is. And so I get really frustrated when I see groups of people coming together, being really stifled by these things we've made for ourselves called organizations, where they just stop everybody doing what is so natural, which is serving and caring about each other. So those
So,
two things run very, very close alongside each other.
yeah, absolutely. So let me ask you this. What's the best advice you've ever gotten?
The best advice I ever got was in kind of all of life was to do two things. If you know that you don't know everything, then keep your heart and mind open and persevere.
Yeah.
Right. So even though that says to me, even though I don't understand this thing over here, what's going on, can I hold my learned experiences, my prejudices, my whatever it might be, long enough to go, well, hold on, don't make rash judgment. Just consider for a minute. There could be something you've never known about or learned about or experienced before, and allow yourself just to even think a little bit broader than you've been brought up to think. And then I find the whole world starts to open.
Yeah.
I might get down the line and go, actually, I'm not quite sure I believe that, but I've explored it.
Yeah.
And the exploration, like everything, right? The journey is what it's all about. It's not necessarily where you get to, because actually that's an infinite thing. But actually, can we learn? Can we love? Can we care? Can we take others with us? Can we change the world as we go along? That's what it's all about. It's got to be.
So when you look at the long arc of your career and everything that you've been through, what was a particular time period, year, or just a particular space where it was tough, but you learned a lot, you grew a lot, and you got to this
Right.
place that was better?
So I did my first 10 years of career after university and my education and everything else. I was doing incredibly well. By then I was chief operating officer of a mobile communications company in the UK. It was growing internationally. It was doing amazing things, right? So I was on the kind of the leadership rung that was going places. I decided at the time that I actually, one of the things that I wanted to do, and part of this is my Christian calling, is how can I actually have enough money that I can use for other people to make a real impact? And I concluded, for right or for wrong, that actually the best way of doing that was to come out of corporate, set up your own thing, become successful, and then you've got the cash and the resources and whatever to do whatever you want to do. So at the end of 1999, and it literally was the dawn of the new millennia into 2000, I had the opportunity to come out of the company where I was chief operating officer with shares and equity and all sorts of things, and I had a great payoff. They also paid for my second year MBA fees, and it was the right move. My intent was to raise funds and cash and investment for a new IT type of business, but it was the dot-com boom. And nobody wanted to invest in anything other than dot coms.
Yeah.
So I couldn't raise the money. I set up a few dot coms and played around with that. But what it meant was I went through a 3-year journey, which was a bit of a wilderness experience, actually, where I was suddenly on my own. Here I was, I'd been leading, a large part of an organization for so long with lots of people, et cetera, which I love. And I love working in groups and teams. But here I was on my own in a little office in the middle of nowhere going, wow, what am I doing here? How did this arrive? The 3-year journey culminated in us using up all our shares, using up all our savings, getting to a point where we were actually in debt quite considerably. My second daughter had been born with complex special needs, so we were going through consultations every week. It was a new world that really was that I went into. My mother, I journeyed with her through cancer and she died at the end of that period, as did her sister as well, within 5 days of her. So it was a bleak period, Joe. It was a really tough period.
Wow. My son's on the spectrum. He's
I really,
19. So I understand that part of the world. Yeah, you see the world in a whole different way, man.
really do. You really do. I
And
mean,
it's
it's a blessing.
it
It's a
is.
blessing, but it's hard, and you wouldn't choose it for them or for you. That's the reality of it.
Yeah, but it is one of those things where you realize, I think before COVID, there's all these things that we tried to debate about what we were in control of, and I realized even before COVID, the only thing that I can control with him is how well and how good I can love him. And then
Absolutely.
of course everything from there comes in with more patience. There's not a day that goes by where I'm like, I just wish I was more patient. But we're human. We we
Absolutely.
we have to evolve. So, speaking of youth and the way things shake out, let me ask you this. If you had a dream tonight, ran into the 18-year-old version of you, and you could give that young version of you a piece of advice based on this life you've led, the wisdom you've gained along the way, what advice would you impart on that young version of you?
I would say nurture your dreams, have your dreams, but hold them lightly because they probably won't go exactly the way that you want them to go today. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Actually, the excitement is the journey. And don't miss anything along the way. Don't miss anything. And every single opportunity you get, kind of don't worry about what it's going to be like when you're 60, 70, 80, whatever it is. If there's a great opportunity, go for it, do it, experience it. We have so much available to us these days. The
Yep.
world is just so amazing. It's so wonderful. And despite the negative stuff that we all hear every day in the press and on the media and everything else, the majority of life is fantastic and it's amazing. And you don't ever get to hear about it because everybody does it in every part of their life. It's
Yep.
good, it's wonderful, it's superior. And it's just to enjoy it, enjoy the ride, really.
So well said. So, of everything that you've done and evolved and overcome through and everything in your life, what are you the proudest of?
Being a dad,
Yeah. Yep.
totally. I was born to be a dad. I loved it, absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
I get everything, it grounds me. It just fulfills me.
Yeah.
And I've been very blessed with a wife and two daughters, and I'm just so blessed with life. Yeah.
So, everyone out there has a perception of you. There's all these different people that are existing in your life, family, friends, clients, colleagues, everyone, but you ultimately run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I'm a reasonably good guy. I'm on the journey. I still have a few things I'd like to do. I want to realize that dream for which I left the corporate world, which is to be even better and be able to spread more good, quote unquote, and resources to other communities and other parts of the communities that I'm involved in. And as we've said, I'm heavily involved in the world of special education needs and all of that. And so that's an obvious place that I want to do more in. And so I hope that, people will see someone who's got good life experience, has something to actually offer by way of how businesses can grow. And I'm all for startups. I mean, I love some of the stuff that we're doing these days. I really do. But just being that guiding person of integrity, that's who I want to be.
So we get off this call, time machine pulls up in front of your house. You can go anywhere in the history of time and see one event with your own eyes. Where are you going?
I'm going 15 years ahead.
Okay.
to see what we have done with the great technologies for other people and other communities, all the great that humanity has been able to achieve in 15 years' time. I'd love to see it now because we'll start creating it, but we are already creating it.
Yeah.
I'd just love to see it. I'm really impatient to see these fantastic outcomes. You know, we talk about our kids, right, who've got additional needs. I want to see what these new technologies are going to do for them. I'm
Yes.
really excited by
Me
that.
too. What a great
Yeah.
answer. I love it. So if anyone wants to reach out, they want more information, they want to hire you, any of the good business, where do they go?
Come find me on LinkedIn. I'm there. Johann Diaz. You'll get me straight away, or else it's service-revolution.com.
Johann, what a pleasant surprise. It's so great to meet you. Thank you for
Great to meet you.
your sunshine and the way that you're changing the world. I appreciate it, and best of luck with everything.
You're very welcome. Great to meet you. Great to chat with you.
Great to
Take
meet you.
care.